I have been very open about the fact that when I was making my career pivot, mentorship helped immensely, immensely in how successful I was. Um, and I basically wanted to talk about how you, as a career pivoter, I don't care what industry you're looking to pivot into, what industry you are pivoting out of, I want to help you basically find a mentor of your own. So, I'm going to share some tips, some tricks that I used in order to find my mentor, and a couple of different ways that you can do it. Okay, so the first way is, you already know what I'm gonna say. I'm a LinkedIn evangelist at this point. But going on LinkedIn, one thing you will find as you're scrolling, as you interact with more people in the industry that you're looking to pivot into, is that you will just inevitably see people who are like very experienced in that field. So, going to use tech sales as an example because that's what I pivoted into. Um, and so eventually, once you start making more connections on the platform, once you start, reaching out to people, and hopefully you're posting as well, you will start to get people commenting, maybe reaching out via DM, and inevitably, as you're going through that whole process, you will find people who, as I said, are very experienced in the field, and you can reach out to them. Now, a couple of important things here. You want to look for somebody who, one, has a few years of experience, and my camera is like refusing. Anyway, okay. You want to look for somebody who has a few years of experience in the field that you're pivoting into. So I would say anywhere between maybe 6 to 10 years, and you want to look for career progression. So maybe someone who started as an SDR, which is my role, and then moved up to senior SDR, and then uh, account executive, and et cetera, right? The employees are just coming in. Morning. Um, it will never not be awkward recording in front of people. Anywho, um, yeah, so you want to look for somebody who has some career progression, maybe SMB account executive, enterprise account executive, director, VP, whatever, right? And I would say, generally speaking, the mentors that, well, I guess it kind of depends, but I would start at like the director level. And what you're going to do is you're just going to message them and be curious, right? Like, whoa, it looks like you moved from this industry to that industry. What motivated that move? What, that sort of thing. Um, how did you pivot from, or how did you go from a real estate agent to, good morning, how'd you pivot, or how'd you move from, being a real estate agent to then going to sales? Or what was your thought process between, or behind moving from one industry to another? And you just want to be genuinely curious. Part of that is to, just like be a normal person networking, like to build rapport. But there's also part of that that you can learn from, even if that person doesn't end up being your mentor. Like, it helps you to build connections in the industry, which will end up working in your favor later on. Let's say that person works at a company that has an opening in a role that you're going after. Well, now you have an established connection in the company that might be able to put in a referral for you, might be able to send your resume directly to the hiring manager if it's not them, right? So there are lots of benefits anyway. There might be someone in their network who is hiring, and when you're looking for a job later on in your career, you could say, hey, looking to make a switch from my current company, looking to move into a bigger role. These are my stats. Do you know anyone who might be hiring? Do you know anyone who's looking for someone with my type of experience? So it's kind of, there are multiple ways anyway that reaching out to people on LinkedIn that way can be very beneficial for your career. But once you have reached out with curiosity, once you've built some rapport, one thing I like to do is to be very specific about why I'm reaching out, right? Like, you want to be honest. So, telling them, like, hey, I'm someone who's considering maybe making a similar move to you. I'm someone who is considering moving into your industry. I'm someone who is looking to start where you started, and I'd like some advice. Now, here's the part that can get I don't want to say interesting, but it can I'd say be the most awkward part, be the most difficult part, at least in my opinion, and that's asking for time to talk to them. So go on. What am I trying to say? Ask them for, like, on LinkedIn. I don't know if it's a tech thing. I don't know if it's a corporate thing, but they call them coffee chats. So, asking for a coffee chat, asking for, if you don't want to use the like corporate lingo because it's kind of cringy. I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cringy. It's a little cringy. Um, Ask them, like, hey, do you have 15 to 30 minutes in the next week or the next 2 weeks for me to ask you some questions about your career and get some advice? You can ask them advice, in the DMs as well, but I do find that there's a certain point where you want the face to face interaction if possible. This also works if you find someone actually in your area. So when I was talking to or when I like found my current mentor, one of the things, unfortunately, when I was like making the pivot, I was moving across the country, but he actually proposed. He was like, hey, we live 30 minutes away from each other. If you want to grab coffee in person, we can do that. There's like 4 Starbucks between where I live and where you live. We can meet at Starbucks one day after work or like on my lunch break or something. You can also do that. I see a lot of people on LinkedIn meeting up in person. You can meet in a public place. You can meet somewhere where you're both comfortable, and depending on how you are, that might be a lot more high stakes for you. If you're an introvert, if you're somebody who's a little more apprehensive about about meeting people in person, which is understandable, but just also know that that's an option, especially if you don't necessarily care so much about a role being remote, or you're just an in-person person. There are a lot of people that don't like Zoom meetings and Google Meet meetings and all that, and I get it because it's annoying. But yeah, that's also an option. Now, the next thing is you want to keep in touch with this person. So I would say maybe once a week, once every couple weeks, maybe give them a quick update on your job search. Give them an update on where you are at your current job. If you're somebody who's already in tech sales, for example, if you're already in AE, if you're already in SDR, BDR, whatever, and give them regular updates, maybe every couple weeks, maybe once a month, whatever it is. You just want to be in semi regular contact with that person. That way, the relationship doesn't go completely cold. Um, and what I have found is a lot of people want to help. So even without me mentioning, like, hey, I'm looking for a mentor, people offer. Like, I didn't ask my current mentor to be my mentor, he offered. And I really appreciated that because obviously I was brand new, I didn't know what I was doing. Um, but also, I'm remembering even before I made this move, you can see the employees moving around, they're just getting in. Even before I made this move, when I was considering going into product management, I basically did the same thing. Reached out to a few people, and there's like, there's also almost like kind of like a Facebook group, but for LinkedIn. And people will do like lives and all sorts of things. You can also join those. That helps. Uh, and anyway, I basically did the same thing when I was pivoting into product. I probably talked to like 5, 6, 7 like directors, VPs, global heads of product for like huge companies around the world. A couple of them were in the UK. A couple of them were in like New York, San Francisco, anyway, all over the place. And all of them were so willing. When you're very upfront about what you're looking to do, when you're very upfront about why you're reaching out to them and how much you're like, hey, you have a lot of experience in this area. This is some way that I'm looking to grow. This is something that I'm trying to figure out. Can you spare 15 minutes? There were a lot of them that just sent their calendar invites. They're just like, hey, put some time on my calendar. I don't know if it was because, like, at the time I was so new, and I don't know. You see some of these titles, and it's like, you must be busy as heck. And they probably were, but like, I don't know. Anyway, I say all that to say, you might be surprised at the doors that open for you when, again, you put yourself out there. I have multiple videos on this. When you Can you guys hear that? I don't know. So there are birds. Is that what a toucan sounds like? I don't know. Last night we heard howler monkeys, and today it's more birds than monkeys. I don't know what type of bird, but they are talking to each other. I hope the mic can pick it up. It's actually really cool to like be in the middle of the jungle and just like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's one way, right? Now, if you are somebody that absolutely hates networking, if you don't want to be reaching out to people on LinkedIn, if you don't want to have to build rapport, you want something that might be a little bit more transactional, something where it might be a little less of a friendship situation, and you're just like, look, I need 30 minutes of somebody's time to ask some questions, to get some answers, and after that I'm good. Then there are also paid services that you can use, and there are also groups. I found a couple of them when I was trying before I failed at pivoting into product. But there are paid services anyway that you can use where you pay somebody, let's say $100 for 30 minutes of their time. You can ask them whatever questions. And I also think there are groups that are technically free, but you have to like sign up and like apply for them. Um, and you can do, Google searches on that as well. I'm sure on LinkedIn, if you look at it, uh, you will also find those. I'm sorry, I also see like a spider in these trees. There's so much nature. But anywho, yeah, so there are options depending on what type of mentor relationship you're looking for, depending on the industry that you're pivoting into, depending on your personality. As I said, some people are much more like, they don't mind being more outgoing online. They don't mind, reaching out and doing the whole networking thing and the coffee chats and whatever. Um, Again, if you are somebody, you're just like, look, I need it to be a little more transactional, I will give you some dollars and you can give me some info. There are paid services for that. There are plenty of people on LinkedIn who will offer mentorship, or like, hey, for an hour of my time, pay me this much money. I personally prefer not to go that way, but you do what you want. Yeah, and mentorship is so incredibly beneficial. Overestimate I cannot overstate how beneficial it. I really hope the mic is picking this up. I can't overstate how beneficial it was for me through my interview process. Like, I literally did just shy of 20 hours in interviews in 1 week when I was doing my pivot, and my mentor was there for me every step of the way. Literally every other day, he was like, who are you meeting with? What company? What's the assignment? Let's work through this. I'll tell you what they're looking for. I'll tell you how to find their ideal customer profile. I'll tell you how to structure the email. Like, we're going to figure this out because I want to get you hired. So, in closing, it's extremely beneficial to find a good mentor. They will be invaluable in your career in general. And it will be somebody who supports you throughout the process so that you don't have to do all of the experimentation to figure out what works, what's a hiring manager looking for, what questions are they going to ask in an interview. Like, there are resources available for you if you're willing to like reach for them. So, anywho, Hopefully that was helpful for you. If you don't know, my name is Alexis. I post here on YouTube every single day. And I talk all things tech sales, career pivots, navigating big life decisions, solo traveling as a young Black woman. So if any of those things appeal to you, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.